Welcome to Forever Exiled, the Path of Exile podcast. I am Justin, aka Tags.
Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Episode 123. You're pausing already? Oh, son of a... You're right, we gotta redo it. Okay, ready? Here we go. And 1,
2,
3,
4.
Keeping all of that in, I'll line it up
please
afterwards.
do.
I totally forgot. Anyway,
Funsies.
episode 123. Forever Exiled.
It is. What a great number. Like, if there's a very close second to my love for rep digits, it's
consecutive.
It is. It's consecutive numbers.
Yeah,
but not too
pretty
long. Not too long. That's just obnoxious. But like
just
a nice
bragging,
1, 2, 3.
like we get it. You can count.
Yeah.
All right.
But like something that's not as obvious as ABC or 1, 2, 3. Something like 2, 3, 4. I like that.
It feels like it's missing something though at the beginning.
I think it's just been there. You know, it doesn't need to brag.
I like your pink shirt, your pink Forever Exiled shirt.
Thanks. Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, I ordered from the store to see what it was like, see the quality.
They're pretty comfy.
Hopefully it lasts.
Christina likes
actually,
hers.
this is a really nice one. Oh, she got one. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a Bill Murray shirt on, so, I mean, you can't get better than that.
It says you are awesome. He's pointing at you. That's actually my I use that for work too. For everything that goes out, always says you are awesome with Bill Murray pointing at them. Anyway, so here we are. What a great week, PoE wise.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Let's
anyway,
just finish
we'll catch
it
you guys
right
in
there.
124.
Yeah, let's go play. It was good.
Big shout out to our Patrons. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. Your faces are awesome. If you're curious what our Patreon is, it gets you access to After Dark, which is our podcast after the podcast, where we just talk about more stuff, things, etc. Have a good time. If you want to find more info, you can find down below on our website, wherever. Thanks for your support. You're super duper.
Agreed.
How's your week? How was your week, Ty?
I had a good week.
Did you?
Though I need to... calling all nerds out there, please. I've worn my Path of Exile gear, per se. Like, I have 2 hoodies now that say Path of Exile. I have a hat, and I basically talk about it out loud to myself while I'm walking around. So I've been to the Greater Vancouver Zoo. I've been to Canadian Tire. I've been grocery shopping. I've been to Tim Hortons. I've been to the liquor store. I've been to A&W. I've been out and about. According to COVID guidelines, but I've been out and about. Nobody's like, hey, I play PoE. Hey, wicked game. And I know that, you don't typically do that to complete strangers, but every now and then you get someone, like whenever I wear my Fallout hoodie, I always get somebody, oh, dude, wicked game. Dude, love your hoodie. Oh, man. So what kind of build you play? But hey, Path of Exile nerds, get out there and wear your stuff and recognize each other, you jerks.
I love that that's why you have them.
Yeah. Not to be recognized myself, just to hey nerds.
Just see me, please. See me.
No, not me. Just hey guys, let's talk PoE.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
It's not happening though?
No, it never has. Actually, one time when I was in a Soyuz, I was at, I think it was an A&W, and someone's like, sweet hoodie. It was the hoodie you got me from ExileCon. Has Path of Exile all over it. And I'm like, oh.
I feel like I've heard this before. Didn't they not know?
No, they had no idea what game was. They just thought the hoodie was cool. So
Dang.
that kind of broke my heart.
Anyway,
that was my week.
That was your week. I had a great week.
I did.
You
I had
complain
an awesome...
about people not noticing you.
No, you're such a twister of words. No, it was a good week. It was nice. The weather's warming up. The kids are enjoying school. Paper route isn't soaked in rain or ice. So, it was a nice, normal, regular week.
We drove past you as you guys were doing your paper route yesterday. I think it was yesterday.
Was that a we? I can't see with the reflection on the windshield.
Yeah.
I just heard this.
I had my youngest daughter, she's 4, in the car with me, and I said, oh, it's Tyler and Oliver and Violet, and that's when we honk, and so she sees. But trying to explain to her that you guys don't deliver our paper, just a waste of my breath. It wasn't going anywhere. She was like, well, but they're delivering papers. Oh, so they bring it to our house? And I said, no, they don't deliver to our house. It just wasn't working. Wasn't happening.
Not registering. That's funny.
Anyway, you apparently deliver our newspaper.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
You get newspaper? What do you get a newspaper for?
We don't have a choice. They put it in our freaking house every...
Yeah, you do. You just say you don't want the paper.
Who do you say it to?
We don't get the paper.
Who do
we
you
haven't
say
had a
that
paper
to?
for 4 years.
Who do you...
You can leave a note on your mailbox or whatever. You can
really?
just go to
the... Go ahead.
Beep. You can go to the newspaper website and
say no?
And just
Really?
say you don't want it anymore. Yeah,
I
that's
would have
what we
thought
did.
that they would have figured it out when my mailbox is just like overflowing with the newspaper that maybe he doesn't want it, but then they just put it on the ground.
The kid doesn't care. The kid gets paid per paper.
Do they? Oh,
Yeah.
well then I kind of feel bad.
Yeah, just you could put. There's one person on our route that just has a recycling bin, and just the special instructions say, "Please put in the blue bin," and it's a recycling bin, and it just fills up.
That's
and
amazing.
Then that's it. You'll take that out.
Yes, it will.
Okay.
Well, that's cool. Good.
Yeah. How about you? You have a week. You seem like you're in better spirits, better health.
I am. My back was. So I did Prolo last week, right before the league launch.
Yeah, that
Which
worked
is all
out really
the
well for
injections
us.
into my back didn't go great.
Yeah.
I feel way better now.
Okay.
Way better. And it's been an insane week. Yeah, works crazy. February is going to be nuts, so it is what it is. Otherwise, I don't know. I played Path of Exile. That like my week work wise is boring. I didn't do anything fun. I barely slept, so that didn't help. Path of Exile sometimes doesn't help with that either, and especially this league. Or like we're obviously going to get into like how this week was with PoE, but man, this league has taken me back to like Breach, like one of my favorite leagues ever. I think this is my favorite league ever. I think this beats every single league I've ever played. And I am curious as I'm looking forward to talking about like how your week was and things that have been happening at GGG. But I feel like if you don't like this league, Path of Exile is probably not your game.
Yeah, just get out.
Like
just stop wasting your time. Just go play. There's a lot of good games out there. Just don't. No.
There's certainly some things that they need to improve on, but my gosh, this league is so good. It's so good. So anyway, yeah, that was my week was mostly Path of Exile and work. So yay.
Awesome.
Let's get into it. Let's get into this week in PoE.
But I'm hot and I have to take off my hoodie. Don't look at my skin. Don't.
So disgusting. That's the mayo belly. Is that what you guys called it? The mayo belly?
Oh yeah. No, but it's more than just the belly now. It's like wrapping around the sides. It's in the back. I got this big, nice spare inner tube tire going around my whole body, and it's going up into my boobs. I can feel them when I go down the stairs.
Keeps you warm.
But Justin, well, it sure seems to be working. I had to take off my hoodie, and it's still winter. But
I love that you took off a hoodie and you still have 2 shirts on. What is wrong with you? How cold is your house?
We're trying to save money. We have a big bill coming, and when I see icicles forming on the windowsill, my wife just gets a big smile because all she sees is dollar signs.
Sweet.
Yeah. No, with all we tripled both our hydro and electrical bill because of the machines they had downstairs trying to air everything out.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was like $700 for the last month and a half. It was insane.
Wow.
Yeah, both combined, but still,
Sure.
like, it was absolutely insane. So we told them, I mean, because with one of our bills, we only get it every 2 months anyway.
Yeah.
So we had to tell the people that we were using them from and like the people that are helping out with the restoration. I'm like, we just can't afford it. You have to come up with another way. Like, that's just insane.
Do they still have to run? Do they still have to run?
I mean, normally we'd be able to if it was done by especially once the drywall comes out. That's when like they really need to make sure that everything's super dry. But no, totally forgot what I was saying. But but we're not covered by insurance. So otherwise it wouldn't matter because we could just submit the difference to our bill of our bills to insurance and then they would cover it, but because it's not. So anyway, feeling good, just feeling good. Tons of hot fixes and I love it. Obviously we're not going to go through each one or that would be the entire show, but I just love that the mentality of how many were there since launch? 11 hot fixes to date. Maybe there'll be more within 2 days, right? We're Friday, we release Sunday. But I just love that GGG's banging out the fixes. Like find a problem, fix it, apply it, done. Find a problem, fix it, apply it, done. And I mean, that's what a hot fix is, but I can't remember the last time, and maybe it's every league, but I can't remember the last time they had 11 hot fixes in such a short amount of time. Some of them fix 12 things, some of them fix one thing, and just out.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
That's
and
good.
As far as I can tell so far, I mean, some of them seem kind of like a big deal, you know, like not getting invitations or certain things not working as corrected, not getting certain drops. But in those descriptions, they'll say like, oh, you know, all you need to do is another T14 with, you know, having 10 invitations already done, you'll get your Maven drop again. So there's a nice fix to it. You're not just screwed out of some of these things.
Right.
But it was done quick too. Like, it's not like you're waiting 3 months. I think the only thing that I saw that was kind of taken that is a big deal was blighted maps. Something's really wrong with blighted maps.
Oh, really? Still?
Yeah, they're taking their time to make sure that it's fixed permanently. I don't know what the issue is, but yeah,
I don't
really
think I've
awesome.
actually done one yet. I don't think I've done a blighted. I have some in my inventory, but like in my stash, I just haven't run them.
Gotcha. One thing that's actually one thing that is really impacting me are the sound issues. Have you noticed them?
Well, yes, they're there in the sense that like all of a sudden randomly the sound cuts out or like blips a little bit. It's very weird. It doesn't affect me. It's just I find it odd.
With my concussion stuff, it really impacts me. Like, all of a sudden this is happening, but there's something like, because we're both doing crazy minion builds, right? Well, not crazy. I'm doing zombies with phantasms. You're doing mage skeletons with Val skeletons, of course. And there's just, that like the sound when they hit, that sound when they hit, that the sound that it makes, it's a thud, right? But when it's masked by a whole bunch of other stuff, you don't hear it. But when all these things are cutting out, all I hear is it's like, sorry, did you hear that fall? I don't know if you'll be able to edit that out. If you couldn't, just so I was holding a G.I. Joe.
Why are you holding that?
It was on the desk.
Okay. It's a little gun.
It's not a little gun. If you were a G.I. Joe holding this gun, you would need pipes the size of Sergeant Slaughter, if you remember him. Anyway, That's a wicked gun. But what was I saying?
I was going to say there's no chance you remember where you were.
No, I don't. I don't. Oh, but the sound, it's just like when it's like zombies and phantasms just hitting. And it's kind of like somebody's just like constantly banging a desk. And no criticism. I mean, they'll fix it. They know it's an issue. It was in there. What's going to happen? But it is limiting how long I can play. It exhausts my brain a little bit more. But
you could just turn the sound off then you wouldn't have that, right? Like you could technically turn the sound effects off.
It's funny. That doesn't even cross my mind, but I probably could. Yeah.
I have noticed it. It is weird, but it's not been, I don't pay attention that much to it. So, yeah.
And some cool MTX came out. The Celestial Tempest Shield looks so cool.
Yeah, I don't know how I missed that one. I just saw that right now. I'll have to pick that one up.
Oh, it looks really neat. And I love how it changed so far with how they had that skill set up. It's not just hitting one or two people. It's going out quite a ways like Arc.
Oh, really? I didn't watch the video. I'll have to check it out.
Love that.
That is cool. What's with the Vulcan thing? Is this like a theme for them?
It's a new set. Okay. So you know how they do the new sets, everything. Right? Well, yeah, that's typically how they do it. Like earlier in the week, they'll do the chest and like the normal body armor stuff. And then later on, they'll come up with the weapons and then the portal and then the cloak. And
I don't think I like the armor set. I'm just looking at it right now.
No, doesn't suit you.
Well, are you magma with spikes? It looks like. And no, don't like it. It's fine.
All right.
Not my favorite. Is there a portal? Oh, there is a portal. I'm just quickly looking at that. Okay. I mean, portals always win. I think portals are awesome.
Winning.
Except, okay, let's just jump right into this. I'm going to say it anyway. What? Okay, here's a beef I have. I love portals. I spend a lot of money on portals. Could somebody please teach Kirik how to use my portals? Why on earth does a Kirik mission not use my portal? I do not want to see the stupid blue portal.
I was really surprised by that. Even because they gave Zana her own portal, why wouldn't they give Kirik? But I hated Zana's portal. I just want her to use my portals. Yeah, right. I spent the money.
It's very weird.
My portal. Yeah.
I find it very odd that he opens it as a like. I do like their changes to Kirik and the whole map stuff, but use my portal, bud. I got lots of them.
Yeah, like I give you access. You have permission.
But it also, I mean, anyway, I'll bring up something else later. But yeah, that's what really grinds my gears, you know?
Yeah.
What else we got?
Me too. But did you notice with the hot fixes, is that really loud?
I don't know how loud it's going to be in post, but it's definitely loud. It's singing to you that it's all done.
Laundry's done, Justin.
Sweet.
And I'm not even going to fold it until tomorrow.
You animal.
I know. It's like I'm living in a jungle. Actually, one thing that stood out to me was what wasn't fixed with all those hot fixes. And maybe it'll come with 0.1. Maybe there's been a lot of feedback. I don't know. But so far, it seems like the monsters didn't get tweaked.
What do you mean?
All these arch nemesis monsters with all these mods and how you change stuff. Remember with what's the other monster one that you body parts? Metamorph. There was quite a few changes off the top, right? When they came out with Syndicate, there was quite a few changes that came off the top with like these new enemies and these new monsters. And I feel like
these ones are tuned quite well.
Right. Even with Einhar, there was some big changes with how everything went, and then it was rechanged again when it went back into core. And these, maybe the community's clamoring, and maybe it'll be the 0.1 fix where they get changed. But despite the fact that there is some crazy surprises when I'm fighting, there wasn't any changes to the monsters, and I actually find the fights to be quite fair when you pay attention to the mods that you're putting on. Yeah, you can
make them really hard. I think what I didn't realize so much is that until I got a little further into the league was that I needed to be careful about which mob I was unlocking, because some of them, you take that crazy spinny in the cage dude from Dark Souls. They start in Act 2. Yeah. You buff that guy up with like a lot of health and other stuff, you're going to have some trouble because those guys are already tanks. But I actually have found the fights to be pretty fair, and so much more so than Metamorph. I've done Metamorphs through this league, and I still have instances where I'm like, the hell just happened? I just disappeared. I don't know what happened. I don't know why.
You can't see anything.
I wasn't near anything, and then I'm just dead. I don't know what happened there. I haven't found that with Arch Nemesis. I haven't really noticed that. I've noticed if I unlock the Katava Herald dude and I see that red orb coming towards me, I'm like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
I just know that I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
But I feel like their fights are actually, I like them.
Except for the on-death damage, I absolutely love them. I think the fights are very fair and really good.
But that's like anything for us. Anything after death is stupid.
It annoys us.
Dead, it should be dead.
If you're even going to do it and insist on doing it, make it do some damage, not a stupid amount of damage, not like delete damage, but some damage. So if you had a quarter life left and you were going to get hit, okay, well, heal up just in case. But now my preference is none at all. I just finished the fight. Unless I actually have like a bleed on me that I'm still dying from, sure. But on death effects when the game is still just as crazy busy as it's always been,
at least, especially when it's on death effects where it's harder to see. Like one thing I will say, they did this new
the poison drop
death effect, the poison drop. But I can see it. It's up above everything and it drops. I can move I can't think of anything in the game that would make me not see that, and it's scary as hell, and I know to move out of the way, especially after the first two of them drop. That I actually don't mind that as much. I don't like it, but I would take that any day over something just exploded in the midst of all the shit on the ground. I didn't even know it was there, and now I'm running back from a portal. I'm not a big fan of that. With regards to Arch Nemesis stuff and the fighting the bosses, Bex actually tweeted today that she has confirmed that they are doing some UI improvements to the Arch Nemesis inventory, which is really, really good, because I am really enjoying Arch Nemesis. And that's the one part that I don't really like, because I've gotten to the point now where I go, okay, these are the ones I want, and I can't pick up anything else. And I understand where they were coming from on the idea of like, well, we don't want you to pick up everything. You're going to eventually focus on certain recipes. Well, some of these recipes take like, I don't know, like 16 combos to work your way up towards of different things. There's no way unless you've been playing for a really long time to know what all those I have an Excel spreadsheet for Arch Nemesis. I don't mind doing that, but I don't really feel like I should have to. Like I would rather have it so that the bases could be picked up, and then maybe there was a limited inventory for the combinations of those bases, and I have to manage the combination. You know what I mean? Like imagine if you cut the Arch Nemesis inventory in half, but then you added like a tab or some way of keeping all of the bases that you pick up, and then you can choose. I don't know. I do understand the frustration as you get playing more, because you start to get a lot of them, and many of them, I can't even imagine people who are trying to go for challenges in a league. Like I don't think you do either. It's a nightmare to get some of these combinations while still trying to keep ones that you want.
Right. I like
So
their intention of discovering it, and they didn't want it to be something you could find out immediately, even though eventually the websites, you know, like PoEDB, for example, had the recipes a day later. But I like that. But I think anytime your UI keeps the player from doing the things they love, you need to fix your UI.
yep.
And so in this case, because they have a recipe system that, and I like the hinting system, but because the organization setup is just, it goes to the top left automatically, just like all the other inventories do, but it automatically goes there. It takes a lot of micromanagement, so you don't overstack on certain recipes, or you know what you have left and your own tiering system. And that's fine. That's how games work. But if that's what you want your players to be doing, great. But I my guess is that's not what they would want. After seeing a few 100,000 people play for a while, they're probably like, okay, yeah, no, let's make it a little bit more streamlined so that they can just keep staying gameplay longer.
I think whoever came up with the idea to double the size of the inventory right before league launch is a bit of a savior for
yes,
for the league, because had they come out with half that size, I do understand the frustration for people playing, because it is hard, and I cannot imagine if it was half that, because I currently have a combination of 4 that I like, but that takes up the whole lower half of my inventory while I try to build the 4 that I want, because I need those for the combinations. So I have this little section in the top left that I just leave empty, because I know when I pick them up, that's where they're going to go, so that I can sort them every couple maps. But I do like the way that they work. I'm excited to see them do something just to tweak it a little bit, to make it a little bit easier to use. And really, for me, this is my biggest gripe of the league. Yep. That's so small. You know what I mean? Like that's awesome that is, you know, what I feel like people are struggling with more so is just the ease of it versus, you know, it not working or something's, you know, just awful. But yeah, she tweeted this morning and said that she got confirmation, but it's there Friday. And so they'll have hopefully something for us. They're going to test whatever this new thing is next week, and then hopefully we'll have something by the end of the week.
That's exciting. That's exciting. I'm still amazed by the stability of this launch. Now, granted, we shouldn't be surprised. This is how league launches are supposed to go. This is how every single game that exists wants their launch to go, outside of, you know, the crashes that they said they fixed. I haven't noticed any. It's been very smooth for me. Frame rate, everything, servers. It's been a very smooth experience for me, and that's what every company wants. So it's not something you should really be impressed with. But at the same time, compared to previous launches, this has been amazing. And because in the past, even though they were surprises and one-offs, or every circumstance might have been a different one-off, they had no queue issues, no server issues as far as I know, with a new record of concurrent players. So combine those two together and you have an extremely prepared league launch. And just another shout out to them.
Really good. Yeah, really big kudos, especially because you needed it to be. You're coming out in a very competitive month. You were coming out days before a huge release, and you had your most, you know, the most players ever playing your game, and they crushed it with this league and endgame. Like
yes.
You know, it's one thing to have all of that, and then you have like a league like Synthesis come out or something where people just don't really get into it. This is not that at all. This is such a fun league.
It is. The combination of everything working together, but also look at some of the changes they did before this. Like even looking at like how flasks have changed. You know what I mean? And Heist has been around for a while, and you have all these different quality of gems and just the little cute UI differences they did with, you know, adding quality to your alt. Just a lot of different things leading up to this has made gameplay better, but now you make endgame for everybody, right? With this new Atlas passive tree, but then you nail the launch. You like just all the combination of changing it all. It's a very, very good timing. There's one thing I wish, and maybe they do in other parts of the world, but I wish more people knew about this game. You know what I mean? Like Path of Exile has amazing teasers. No matter how great or how poor the previous league was, when they come out with their new content, people are stoked. Their teasers are amazing. Their trailers are amazing. Their new content is amazing. But it's for us. It's for people that are playing. And I would love to see, and this is just in my little bubble in my area of the world, I would love to see like these advertisements and people going out, like I don't know how they would do it, but I would love to see more people just being aware of the game, marketing like way out there. I want so many more people to play. I would love to see that new concurrent record be in the million. Yeah.
I think the biggest struggle with Path of Exile is it isn't the game for everyone though. So it is tough because
totally.
There are a lot of people that it's just not going to be the right fit for them. They're going to see the passive tree and be like, nope.
But there's going to be other people that are the complete opposite. That's what got me into it, right?
I feel like a lot of people who are looking for that though, probably at this point are starting to or have heard of Path of Exile. Like
I don't know.
It would be surprising to me if somebody who was into video games, who loved in-depth RPG style games, hasn't heard of Path of Exile. That would be odd.
If you've been looking for a while, but people have to know how to search for something to find it too, right?
Maybe.
It's just one of the, I have no idea what they do. I have no idea how it works anywhere else. I'm in one little small pocket of Canada here. I would just love to see just more people be aware. Like, I don't
wear your hoodie more.
I know, that's right? I'm trying. People, meet me at Canadian Tire with your donuts. I'll be there, eh?
All right, let's finish up whatever happened this week so we can get into our stuff. What else we got?
Every time they have a job posting, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I love that they advertise to their own fan base. It's not just on some sort of professional website. Like they advertise it. There's a legitimate amount of people out there.
They just live in the worst country in the world for offering jobs to people. It literally, I don't think there's anywhere. Maybe North Korea is a little harder to get into for work, but I don't know many places that are harder than New Zealand for someone outside of the country to come work in.
I heard that New Zealand is starting to let in some of their own citizens that were trapped outside the country when COVID started.
Nice of them.
That could be misinformation. But that is exciting for those, if that's something that is relatively accurate for people that are there. But I love, and now this isn't a criticism to people because I'm one of them, but I love how many moans there are on Twitter or Reddit or wherever when GGG posts a job description out there and people are like, oh, but they say, oh, you have to live in New Zealand for it because of border restrictions for the moment. And it's like,
no, it's not for the moment. I'm not. And my comment wasn't because of right now. That's New Zealand all the time. New Zealand has some of the strictest laws with regards to people coming from outside of the country. They have to be able to prove that they cannot find someone within the country that could do that same job. That's why it's so hard
for work. Okay, yeah. Gotcha.
So I saw their post. I can't remember what it was for. Junior community member or something, I think was what it was.
Yep.
It is fun that they post it, but it is really funny how many people are like, I'd be awesome at that. And it's like, okay, well,
yeah, but
would you? Would you?
Well, so many people moan like, oh, I wish I could go. Can I work from here? And I'm one of them. I'd love to do that too. But it's funny how big that list is. But there's so many people that are so passionate about the game that they'll find somebody that's very, very good for the game. But yeah, did you see what they're coming up to work on? What they are working on that's going to come out at some point soon?
Keurig? I didn't actually read it, but go ahead.
That's
tell
fine.
me.
My selling points are Keurig. You're going to be able to sell to him, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that you couldn't, but yeah.
And then sound issues and blighted maps are two things that they, those are upcoming things that they're aware of.
Oh, sound issues is on there. That's good then.
Yeah. One thing also, another shout out, and this is going to sound like such brown nosing all the time, but I've just been so impressed with this league. When you have a successful league, you're obviously just as busy as an unsuccessful league. You're just busy with other things. And Mark_GGG and a whole bunch of the community team, of course, I think that post said there's 6 people on that team. On the community team. Either way, there's been a lot of people from GGG responding on Reddit, on Twitter, like crazy. And I'm not just talking like once or twice about a league mechanic. Like I see Mark responding to somebody who wasn't upvoted once at all in the middle of a massive Reddit discussion, just an easy comment to overlook. And that's the one he responds to, and it's a massive response. I just love it. And then he keeps his responses going in that conversation 3 or 4 more times, just to make sure that people are clear, ready to go. I really, really like that they're going through, but they're actually reading it. And you see some of the responses from the community team, whether it's on Reddit or their own website. It's a small comment in the middle of a massive discussion, and that's the one that they're responding to. I absolutely love that. And so I wanted to bring that to attention as well, because it's nice. You know, we're all those people. Well, I am. You don't post anything, but I'm one of those people that, you know, I'll have a question or something about a mechanic or a suggestion. I'll get feedback from people and their opinions on it, but it's nice to see GGG going and answering people like me that have questions about whether it's a mechanic interaction, about a unique, or when a certain fix might be coming. I like it.
Cool.
Well, I mean,
awesome.
it's their first week and they're busy doing that.
I'm agreeing with you.
I'm
agreeing with you.
Shut up.
Get this guy working as a community member.
Yeah, that's right. I think this was actually in the patch notes, but I wasn't sure if it was referring to this thing that I have not said yet. Remember when they came out with the new tiered system for flasks, the different mods that had the different tiers?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then we were making fun of the names of them, like of the deer and of the penguin, of the loop-de-loop.
Of whatever. Yep.
The best version of those tiers was tier 3, and the worst tier of those mods was tier 1, which is
totally
the opposite.
Yeah. It's
fixed.
Oh, is it the other way around now?
It is.
They do that?
Then for some reason, so it's finally fixed. That's great. I love that there's consistency. In a game this complicated, you need consistency. But now the Eldrick mods, 1, I believe, is the lowest.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And now
they'll get there. Give them a league.
Give them a league. I know, but it's just funny because now in this case, it's a little different because it's not a mod rolling. Like you get different mods, but the mod that you're getting doesn't roll within itself. So it's not like I'm trying to roll movement speed and I can get anywhere from 20 to 24%. And that's a tier of a mod. It's just you're using the base item, you're getting this value. The value doesn't roll. So maybe that's different for them in some way. But as far as I remember from Chris's presentation with Ziggy, the lowest tier is tier 1 for those Eldrick orbs that drop. And then the highest tiers that can drop is tier 4. And then the highest one you can get and earn is T6.
Have you been using them?
I'm spamming them like
really
crazy.
like
as soon as they drop, I'm like, yep, let's use it. Yep. And Mr. Solo Self-Found over here, we're not into it, but we will be, whatever. Let's just chat. I went out. So I found, what was that thing I found for you? But you didn't need it?
Yeah, you found my jewel. Thanks a lot for finding it after I had already spent my
like
currency.
Half an hour later.
Yeah, it's
what
the Dead Reckoning.
Dead Reckoning. Okay, so that's always been like so
it should be cheap. Yeah.
But you sold it for what, 95 chaos for me that day?
It's 14 chaos right now.
Is it?
Yeah, man. The first day of gear is very expensive.
That's hilarious.
First day, two days, yeah.
So yeah, you spent what? How much did you spend for your Dead Reckoning?
90. I spent 90, I think 95, somewhere around the same. I literally spent an afternoon in Heist just because I wanted the jewel. And I was like, well, that's the best. It's one of the best ways to get currency. I'm just going to go hard in Heist for a little bit, bought my jewel, and then I got off. I was watching a show with Christina, I think, and you messaged me, you're like, hey, I got Dead Reckoning. I'm like, sir. And they changed it because it used to be limited to 3.
Yeah,
now it's limited to, I don't know when. That's probably happened like 4 years ago. I don't play Minions, but you used to be allowed to have 3 of them. Now you can only have 1, so it didn't work. So anyway,
Justin, I gave it to him anyway just to make sure, but we didn't know about the limitation for 1. That you could only use the 1 jewel. So he's just sold it for me, got 95 chaos for it that day. And so I used it to buy myself chest and helmet. I bought every single piece of gear, which is nice.
Wow.
No, but it's good. I got a 6 link it just has over 100 life, but I wanted one that had free suffixes. I made sure that I got my +1 zombies on my helmet and on my thing. Didn't get any +1 to gems because it just skyrockets after that. I mean, even if I have 100 chaos sitting in my stash, I'll look and I'm like, I can get this for 2 chaos or that for 20. I'm going for 2. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I'm thinking about re-rolling maps and stuff like that too. I don't have scourings to re-roll stuff. So, but
really?
Yeah, so I went out and I went shopping and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm making sure that every piece of gear has some chaos resist on it. So I'm like way over cap for chaos resist, which is great. And then I'm getting it. So I'm so super cocky walking into Syndicate. Dead. I'm like, crap. Forgot about forgot about map mods and this, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun, but bought my stuff, just went shopping, sold Self-Found, and went out shopping. Set.
Wow. Are we jumping into our week in PoE?
I don't know. I wasn't even looking at our notes.
I don't pull up your notes usually, except when I have to click on links.
Hey,
we can kind of just bounce back. What?
You
I
got
didn't do anything.
You got a new chair. And
Yep.
before we started, it looked like a spaceship. What was on that?
It's got like a spine down the back. You mean on the back of it?
Yeah, it was like this blue. Yeah, it looked like it was from
It's
Aliens.
got like a spine down the back. It's supposed to be, hopefully it's going to be it's so far has been really good for my back. It's a Herman Miller Logitech something. I can't remember what it is, but it's got like this spine that it goes down the back. It's got like buttons and things that turn everywhere to try and like get in the right spot. So
is Logitech that secret company that actually makes something of everything? Like, can you buy a Logitech coaster?
It was like, it was just a weird combination of Herman Miller makes amazing chairs, and a lot of their chairs are focused on like the ergonomics and how it fits with your body.
Sure.
They made some combination with Logitech on this particular chair. So anyway, that's what it is. How did that come up? You saw it? Oh, when
it just popped in my head, and I get so excited when I remember things, so I just puke it out. So tell me how your PoE week was. Let's get into how the league launch went, and for us.
Yep. So I am playing. I started with skeletons. That was I wasn't sure where I was going to go.
Okay, so I'm super excited about my build. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I'm playing skeleton mages now. It's awesome. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I still haven't figured it out exactly how I'm going to. I think I just hit 90, so I'm figuring out gear right now. But it's fun. It's just. I wanted to play something with the idea where I could be paying more attention to what was happening around me versus so focused on like, where's my character standing right now? How am I going to position for, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to do that with minions. It's a lot easier. But so far, I'm just trying to think through the league in general. I have never had so much fun with the end game. The Atlas is so easy to progress. It makes sense. There's nothing. I don't have to overthink anything, and maybe it's just because we've come from these insane ways to build up your Atlas, but it's literally like, just go up. You're not limited to what maps you do. You're not going to screw yourself if you do some maps versus others. When you're talking about chasing Maven or any of these new guys, it's not based on a zone. I just picked the map. It's based on the tier, but that's fine. That doesn't bother me. It's just, okay, I need that tier map to be able to progress that. But it's not like I need to be in Haywark Hamlet at this specific tier in order to play that type of content. And then the new Atlas passive tree has made it, maps are so much fun right now. There's just, I can't think of a time where there was so much stuff in a map, and I like most of it. Like, I picked to put a lot of that stuff in there. If it's just so much fun. Like, they've just made the end game part for me really, really enjoyable. I have a few, there's a few things that I don't like. I fought the first two bosses, the first two new ones. So like the sub bosses. Have you fought them yet?
No.
So there's two of them. One of them is an awful fight. And I am really curious. So here, you haven't done it. So I'm going to give you an explanation of a part of the fight to the best of my ability. And it's an unavoidable part of the fight. This is, so you actually get teleported into another area in this particular fight, okay? Which I would be fine with. But now imagine yourself, the scorpion boss and her quicksand?
Yes.
Okay. Imagine a map of all quicksand. So that's the first thing. A map of all quicksand.
I already hate it. You don't need to continue.
And mobs will randomly be attacking you. But in addition to that, you're slowly building up a degen while you're in the sand that you cannot get out of. And you have to find a portal to get out of the sand. But there is no... Now, I'm sure someone listening to this, I'm sure people have figured out there's some magic way to figure out where you're supposed to go. But the map has no walls, no lines, no nothing. It's just you're in this massive square and you have to find where the portal is. But it's not like you can just walk straight in a direction. You're still guided by these like little islands that you can only see on your screen, but they're not on the map. And you have to find a portal to get out of while you're getting a degen and losing life, which also that degen and debuff stays with you once you finally get out to fight the boss. It was like, Ethan had gave me a bit of a heads up because he had done it already, but it was very, hopefully there's something like this. The quicksand sludge type stuff does look like it kind of moves. So maybe you can follow it. I couldn't pay enough attention to really look that detailed into it, but it wasn't fun, especially when you compare it to the other one where it's a fire and ice fight, and it's a big circle arena, and there's a line going down the middle, and that line rotates around, and one side is kind of red and one side is kind of blue, so that's the fire and ice side. And depending on what side you're standing on, you're slowly getting a debuff to that type of damage. So if the boss is about to do a big cold attack, like these big icicle things, you want to be standing on the fire side so that you take less damage.
So you're not negative. Yep.
It's at least a little bit better, and it's a little bit more intuitive. I don't know the audio cues yet for when they say what they say, because you don't have very much time for it's like, you know, all of a sudden there's this laser fire beam coming. That's not a ton of time to make sure you get onto the blue side, so you're kind of skirting the line while you're fighting it, but it's at least better than the idea of just thrown into this abyss of quicksand and like, okay, find the one portal that's somewhere in this area in order to get back out. So they dropped nothing. Like actually,
they're just progress.
One of them, I was like, wait, did it die? And I had to hold down Alt because it just dropped blue items. There was not a piece of currency.
That sucks.
Not nothing. I was like, okay, like whatever. But that's it. Like the idea of like modifying my maps to add them to it is a lot of fun. When you add them, you could do like modifiers in the middle of the map where you have to make decisions. Have you gotten to that yet?
Yes.
Like I think that's really fun.
They just showed up.
Yeah. I've done some maps where they don't show up though, even though it is modified to be that particular. So I don't know if it happens every single time. It's actually one of the times it happened after I killed the boss, and I was like, well, thank you for these options to modify the boss or the mobs in a map that I've completed. But that seems a little bit odd to give it to me now. But yeah, I just love the simplicity of what they've done with Endgame right now. It is so easy to just, and I've built my atlas for that the way I want to play. It's actually one thing I really like about this game too, or the current state that it's in. If you play Path of Exile and you don't play a ton of time, or you don't have a ton of hours sunk into it, we've talked about this before, and I was talking to Josh, our buddy who's playing, and I would recommend to people, I think you should check out builds. I think it's a great way to get an introduction into the game, to understand the mechanics. One thing I really like about the Atlas passive, you just do what you want to do. I mean, maybe there is some weird optimized thing, but I still would argue that that's not true. It's optimized to the person. That I can't tell you how you should run your Atlas passive, because how you want to run maps is completely different. I like that about this. I can't really screw it up. I can play any kind of end game that I want, build the Atlas passive tree however I want, and I can't wreck my game. All I've done is focused on the stuff that I really enjoy more than other stuff, and I just find it so much fun. I really do. I think they've done such a good job with this league. This end game is so much fun. You know, there's some things that I'm not a huge fan of, and also here's my other thing though too, with Keurig, this guy, he's just bugging me all over the place. Why do his maps why are they not affected by the Atlas passive? Like you let me build up this cool Atlas passive tree, build my maps however I want, but any of the missions given by Keurig aren't affected by the, I'm sure there's a reason, but I just don't get why.
That would be a good thing to let your community know though, because you introduce the value of Keurig missions. The same league that you change endgame and add an Atlas passive tree, so maps are supposed to be personalized, and then you introduce a mechanic you're also pushing that doesn't include your personalization. So that is something that I think, just from a marketing standpoint, you would want your users, unless it was an oversight, which, I mean, easily done and easily fixed per se. I mean, I don't know how it's done, but
I feel like it can't be though, because they would know at this point that that's not doing it. So I'm really curious what the reason is.
Yeah,
like. I actually don't buy into the idea that, well, with Keurig, you can re-roll his missions, you can get the items that drop it. Okay, but again, I built an Atlas passive tree to play a map the way I would like to play a map. What difference does it make? Who cares if I'm re-rolling Keurig's re-rolls and I'm getting new maps and I'm doing that? That is completely beside the point. I love this Atlas passive tree. I love knowing I'm going to see a Harbinger in every single map. I'm going to see strong boxes the way I want to see them. Then I do a Keurig map and it's like, okay, I'm kind of just doing this now for the completion, like, which is fine. I like that I'm progressing my Atlas, but it would be so much more fun. You know, like, what is the point right now of me having 15 white map missions from Keurig? I have the completion done. But yet, if these still had all of my Atlas passives, then maybe I'm going to go run a lower tier map that I enjoy the layout for, because I know I'm going to hit some Harbingers and I know I'm going to hit some whatever it is that has been set up. I just don't understand that mentality, especially because you haven't. It's not like I'm getting some benefit. I guarantee I have just as many white maps in my inventory, in my stash tab. It's cool that Keurig has them. There's some extra stuff to it, blah, blah, blah. But
yeah, you get the freebie that's guaranteed on there, and maybe you'll get a cool mod that you haven't seen. Yeah.
It's just weird. I just find it odd. I do understand why they don't count on unique maps, and I'm fine with that. That's always been the case. But normal maps is very odd to me that Keurig, his stuff isn't affected by the Atlas passive tree. But overall, I seriously can't say enough good things. And I don't, people can call us whatever they want with regards to the fanboy stuff. This league, they crushed it. It's so, so good. I love it.
Well, I gotta say, there's not really much point to have a podcast if you're not a fan of the game.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to have a Path of Exile,
so we can bash them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, that's right. We're 123 episodes of bashing. That's right.
How's your league been? What have you thought so far?
Well, I'll get I think it's awesome. And I have nothing but good things to say about them. And I will bore everyone with everything I love about it, or the things that I remember to say. There's always a much bigger list of things you don't remember to say that you wish you did. But I am a big boss fan. And one of the biggest annoyances for me was when I finally got the very first flask I use instilling. And instilling orbs are like my dream come true in this game. It lets me play a flask game. This concussion guy here that can barely hit a life flask button in time, just hitting button number 1, I now can use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because of instilling orbs. I absolutely love it. But I mean, that goes back to whenever it was that they introduced them. But the very first one I do is always my freeze. I have a sapphire flask, right? The one that reduces cold damage. And it goes off whenever I get chilled, which also includes being frozen. And it makes me immune from being frozen or chilled for the duration of the flask. My first setup, I don't care about the prefix. I only care about the suffix, which is making sure that I can't get frozen as long as I have charges left in my suffix or in my sapphire flask. I didn't think I could get frozen. I check. I'm like, okay, this guy's got permafrost. All right, no problem. I have a full sapphire flask. I can't move. It didn't trigger.
Oh, that's weird, because I know I have the Brine King can't be frozen and permafrost is easy now. But when I didn't have it, awful.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Awesome. Well, then maybe it's just a glitch and that's fine then. I just thought that maybe permafrost was a different kind of freeze and it kind of overrode your stuff. So awesome.
I don't think so.
Perfect.
So maybe that was a weird, hopefully it doesn't, hopefully that's not consistent.
Hope so. But the only reason I brought that up, that wasn't even going to be a point of discussion for me because that's just stuff. But it kind of goes into your boss fight comment. Anytime you have a theory crafting game, you want to use your build. It is really dumb, no matter the game you're playing, if you have a theory crafting game and you design a circumstance where the user cannot use their build to defeat the boss. They have to go through moments of not doing anything that they've been spending all these hours building towards. So, for example, if that circumstance where you're in your sand pit or whatever it is, and you have to like walk around, and I really hope that's not the case, that it doesn't stick around. Stuff like memory game, like that's not my build. Make fighting the boss hard, not that. So anyway, but I haven't come across that yet. So I'm a little. Hopefully, it's not horrible. I have 35% boots, Justin, movement speed, and I have onslaught.
Wow.
So. Now, the game doesn't tell you that there's penalty points at all, movement speed penalties for armor. There's nowhere in the game that it tells you you're going to reduce your movement speed by wearing this. There is a keystone.
Only in the tree that says you won't.
Yeah, there's a keystone that says, you're right. And you're like, what do you mean? That's not a thing. I never lost my movement speed. And so when you go up and you're like, hey, I have 35% movement speed boots, but I only have 20% movement speed. Anyway, point is, I'm at like 40 or 50% movement speed, Justin. I'm going to crush that little sand pit. But
you know what's really funny actually about your movement speed thing? Because you're playing Guardian, and you've got the buff that speeds up your allies.
Yeah.
If roles were reversed, I was laughing to myself one of the times we were playing. You would actually be upset that I was running that because it would make you sick. Because what happens for me is my character will go all of a sudden like move fast and then go slower, and then move fast and then go slower, because I tend to be a little bit ahead of you.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that sometimes I feel like I'm running through a map of ice on the ground, or like the slow on the ground, because all of a sudden just I feel like I'm getting slowed and then sped up a bit.
That's funny. Well, for me, it would help me keep up to you. Like I would get faster as I get close to you, and it helped me stay in range. So maybe it would work out. So, but onto this, onto how I think this league has gone so far. This is the first time, and now I'm not a league player. I play to play with you, and I'm fine skipping league every time. I like the constant core stuff. That's the stuff that always excites me. This is the first time I've played the league without skipping content as going through the campaign. This is the first league ever that I'm like, every single time I saw a monster, yep, click on it, let's go. And I did it through the whole campaign. I didn't worry about how long it took me. It was nice because it actually doesn't take long. I don't feel like I'm holding you back from co-op because I'm doing the league mechanic.
We actually did a lot of the campaign co-op, which was fun this time.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's easy to do. It was very well designed that way. So that was really exciting. It was nice to have a good stash up. And I've had a really fun time learning all the new core content. Like you were talking about the Atlas passive tree and going through, and our Discord's busy with people talking about all the different ways that they're focusing on either making currency, but because of their investment into the Atlas tree, or they're doing this for fun because they really like this mechanic. And it's neat to see all the different things and all the new discoveries. You know, when I was going through the Atlas passive tree before the league launched, I really wanted to focus on the new bosses and the new Eldritch stuff, but I'm like, I don't know that stuff. I don't know if I'm going to like it. So I went with things that I was familiar with. I love rogues. I love tormented spirits. I love abyss. So I focused on those. But now I see these altars in the game. The game doesn't actually tell you they're altars, so I don't know how you would make the connection that this thing that you're choosing between is the altar that's referenced in the Atlas passive tree. But I really like now interacting with that, and I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. And now my mind's kind of going back to these Atlas passive nodes and clusters that, of course, before I was just kind of pushing aside because I wasn't familiar with what that mechanic was. And so it's just been so fun learning all these new aspects, but seeing it integrate. And the fact that, like you said, it's so personalized. I'm getting rogues, I'm getting abysses so often. And I'm looking forward to getting, I don't think I have any torment investment yet, but I'll be getting there. And oh, it's just so great. Like I'm seeing so many, I'm doing an abyss boss like every 3 maps. It feels like it's so great. Haven't had a Stygian Vice worth picking up yet, but that's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it so that I can do 100 abyssal depths and pick up 2 of those belts that I like.
I haven't been able to play this week as much as I wanted to, but Ethan's been playing a bit, and I was laughing because I said every time I come in and see your screen, it looks like you're in an abyss. Like it feels like because he focused in on them as well, but in the like depths, I feel like every time I've looked at his screen, he's in a new depths. Which is hilarious because that gets me so mad. When an abyssal depths pops up, I'm like, this again.
But the
I still actually have started focusing on them because they're fun. There's so many more mobs. There's so much more, and I love the jewels that drop too. So the Stygian Vice for me, I just buy. I have one. I bought it. It's way easier. Now I just get to play around with the jewels, which, God, man, some of them are crazy.
Yeah, you showed me a pretty crazy one. So I've been loving it. And the monster density, the pack sizes, there's just so much more going on. The enemy, I love it when you get like 100% more enemy health. Like I think it was the rogues. I'm going to get my mechanics mixed up for which ones, but I think it was the rogues that have a lot more. And oh man, it's so fun. And going through the campaign, doing all this league content, I was running out of scrolls of wisdom still by Act 9. Like I'm going through so many rares because I'm trying to pump out this currency. I want that triple res rings just so that it, leveling and gearing's a little bit easier later on. I can be a little bit more flexible with damage mods. And so I'm just flying through. Yes, give me accessories, click, 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 click. I didn't get anything. I had to go and buy it. But still, it was like I'm running out of scrolls of wisdom. And on that note, another massive shout out to whoever's idea it was, whoever came up with the mechanic of item stacking. where now like how much easier now is our co-op because of item stacking? I'm referring to like Scrolls of Wisdom dropping in stacks of 5 or something, right? Fusings dropping as stacks of 3. I love it. It has made our co-op experience better. I'm not holding you back anywhere near as much, A, because of the league mechanic, but B, the looting is so much easier because of that stacking system. And that's kind of something you take for granted now because it's been around for a few leagues. But now that we're going through this and there's so many other cool things, it's not a hindrance. It's not a complaint. When was the last? I mean, maybe there are still people that complain about clicking, but it feels like that's disappeared in my mind anyway. And
it's still there for some stuff, but I agree with you. It's so much better.
It is a lot better.
So much better.
And I mean, and sure, that might have been a big point of contention with Expedition. So who knows what conversations they had in the background, because now Expedition's very unclicky, right? Now that it's gone core, and that definitely carried forward to this. One thing drops, and then the loot you asked for, right? I mean, that's a massive, massive improvement. But now going through my Atlas, which I am super excited to unlock, I have had the worst luck. Well, I'm in the red maps, right? So I'm trying to corrupt everything, and I am getting the worst combinations of corrupt bots. Seriously, I swear, and I laugh at this all the time. Like even when I'm on console, it's like there's somebody at GGG that just has like this control over what.
I felt that too.
And so some days, yeah, that's right. So some days it's like they're like, oh no, it's temporal chains day, and you are going to get temporal chains on 8 out of 10 maps you roll, no matter how many times you use that currency. And so
for me, I feel like it's the way where they're like, oh, you need a lair, a corrupted lair. Okay, go ahead and corrupt it. No, something else. Oh, try the next one.
That's awesome.
It happened to me just yesterday too, and it was funny you say that because just yesterday I was playing corrupting, and I was like, man, this league is so much better for corruptions. I'm not losing my maps. Everything's working great. About 8 or 9 maps in, and it just not a single map for like 5 in a row stayed what it had rolled.
Oh, that sucks.
And it was even worse when they changed to the map, like what map base it is, because then I'm trying to get the stupid completion, and this freaking Val orb is effing me every time. But anyway, man, it hasn't changed on me for a while. I actually did lair last night, so help you out with that. You're welcome. I do have it. I'm just saying, when I tried to get it, it was like 3 times in a row that it was like, oh, here's one you already have, gardens or something.
So whoever's job it is there to make sure that a certain mod shows up a lot in one day. Yesterday it was can't regen life or mana. That was that was a big one, and it sucks. Yeah. Luckily, I wasn't using skeletons on that one because.
Did you run it?
Well, yeah, because Predator support, it's corrupted. I'm going to try it. I'm fine to lose.
Them.
I'm fine to lose 60%.
I saved them. They're in a whole separate stash tab for Harvest. I literally save ones that are corrupted.
You can change corrupted ones in Harvest?
Yeah, there's Harvest crafts that will let you do that.
That's cool, but I don't like that corrupted doesn't mean corrupted then. Corrupted means like done. It's done. This is it. You can sell it or use it. I don't like that you can change corrupted stuff.
Yeah, I do.
So anyway, I didn't know that, but so I see it and I'm like, fine. I'm using Predator support. That doesn't cost any mana, right? But I did forget that my cast and damage taken gems aren't going to go off. So for a while, I think a map and a half without being able to regen mana, I was like, why am I not phasing? Because I have Withering Step attached to a low level cast and damage take. I'm like, what's going on? And I'm getting trapped on bridges and stuff where there's nowhere to go. I'm getting turtlenecked. Bottleneck. There it is. I love your turtleneck today, Justin. And I'm like, what was? But so then I finally remembered what was happening, and I switched out a quartz flask with the Nemesis flask that I have, and started running it. And then it got a lot smoother. Still died a few times because the other one that was always rolling with can't regen life or mana was those mods where it's like enemies physical damage is like also 99% increased cold damage or lightning. And it was always a double roll. So there was like fire and cold, or cold and lightning, and I can't get that. And then it was also something like, instead of the can't regen life, it would be like 60% decreased life regeneration rate. Oh man, like they were just rough maps. They were hard hitting, and every single map I went into, I'm like, I'm not going to finish this, but let's get this going. And so one of them was Lair. One of them was the other boss where it's that same, or other map where it's the same boss from Lair. The guy who transforms into a wolf. And I was like brutal, like within the first like 2 seconds of a map, I've used up 4 portals, but I'm going for it. I'm willing to lose the 60% for the map completion, and I did it. Like my last portal, I went through and I did it all. It was awesome. So I had a lot of fun with my horrible RNG, but I just love it. That's what I love about this game. Like dying sucks, but to me, that's part of the fun of it. And I think people that play hardcore are stupid. Official Forever Exiled statement. But no, I think I already mentioned the. I mentioned that I didn't like the post-death from Archnemesis enemies, but the life regen rate, tone it down a little. GGG. It's that rejuvenate. That is hard. That is really hard.
Frostbomb.
I get it. I get that that's Frostbomb and the Occultist. That's really lame.
I agree.
The two ways. That's it. Otherwise, you, again, have to focus on damage over defense. You know what I think it is? They're like, you know what, guys? We kept that super free defense for you in determination and all that mana reservation efficiency. That didn't get toned down for this league, so screw you. You have free access to investment and damage, and we are going to keep that regen, and that's what I think happened.
I would rather them give all of the mobs 2 health flasks and remove rejuvenating health.
Yes, give them a limit, a required limit. Yes.
If you fight them down and they can all of a sudden heal up once or twice, that's fair. But God, man, I was doing an Elder influence map. I can't remember which Elder Guardian it had. And just like an idiot, I wasn't paying attention. And it was high tier. And I turned Maven on. And that fight, I killed it. But it took so long because she does her dumb heal.
Oh, Maven,
and all of a sudden it's like healing back. Oh, I mentioned this to you. The new Val Temple, because it's not on the Atlas anymore. Keurig had one, so I decided to go and do it. It's that corrupted tier 16. That is so much fun now. The Val vessels in there drop insane amounts of stuff.
And there's 10 of them?
Yeah. It was so much fun. I had such a blast doing that one. The boss still sucks at the end, but it was a lot of fun doing that map.
Awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really
cool. I was in tier 11s at the time that I did it, and I was like, I'm going to try it anyway. I want to see. You don't get anything anymore, right? Because it's there's no Atlas completion for it. You don't get a point or anything like that. But also favorites, so much easier now. I don't even remember what I did when I unlocked my first favorite. I was so excited. I'm like, I get these already?
That's awesome.
Because you have to remember, with the old Atlas, it was one of the things we had talked about once before, where I said I hated that a lot of the fun endgame stuff is gated behind Maven because you have to progress so far in order to get that. This new version of the endgame in the Atlas now makes it so that literally by I would say almost towards the end of your finishing white maps, you're already starting to get some progression into that Atlas passive tree that is making mapping a lot more fun. It's making it more enjoyable. You're getting to do more of the stuff you want, which just makes it even more fun as you progress that even further and you get into the Maven, and then you unlock the 2 Eldritch, things, and you can start affecting the maps that way. And it's just, I don't know. I really can't say enough good stuff about this new endgame. It is my favorite league that I've played. I think it's my favorite ever. And we're only a week in.
Yeah.
I can't see something coming up.
Are you talking league or are you talking just expansion? Which is core and
I think
league.
Path of Exile is currently in one of its best states that I can think of.
I will agree.
Yeah, I think it has made the leveling process of the axe was at least a little bit more enjoyable. I still don't like it, but it was a little bit better. I think the ability to run currently maps in a multiplayer and co-op is in an insanely good spot because the Archnemesis works fantastically for co-op. In fact, I would bet if you're playing co-op, you are getting an insane amount of more loot than if you were playing solo, because you have multiple people building up an untradeable currency in these Archnemesis things to affect it, that you can do more combinations together than you could if you were by yourself. And there's no downside to it. If you run it and you put it in and we're doing your combos, I'm still getting loot. Nothing affects me in a negative way, and nothing affects you in a positive way more so than me. So I don't know. I think it's so good. The only thing that wasn't great we noticed was like the Maven progression is kind of still meh on co-op, at least from what we could figure out.
It just needs a little bit more direction. Like, hey, this isn't gonna, like, for you to start working on your Maven progress, you have to do this in your map. Or like, you're not going to
we have to you do the tier 6.
You don't even know that Maven orb exists if I stay in your Atlas. You know what I mean? Like, so it should drop for me, but then it should say something like, you know, I don't know. There was I forget what it was, but there was something
you couldn't
missing.
Unlock the Maven though. We had to run the tier 6 on your map device to unlock Maven.
Right.
Running a tier 6 in my map didn't unlock Maven for you. And that to me is too bad.
There wasn't anything that told me I had to do maps in my area.
No.
So there was just that, just that one little piece of information that was missing from that progress like I would have been missing out on quest progress if we stayed there, if we weren't told by someone else, right? There was nothing in the game. But outside of that, like, I think the co-op is awesome.
It's still, the co-op is amazing, especially on the league end of it. And the fact that Atlas progression now, there is no conqueror thing we have to be worried about where it's just benefiting the map runner versus the whole group. And I really think Path of Exile is in one of its best states that I can remember in a really long time.
And you think about some of the conversations with people, you know, why are you trying to change so much at one time, right? Going all the way back to Heist and the leagues after that. It's worked out. Like, they've made a lot.
They've screwed up. Some of the stuff has.
Sure, but they were able to make so many good changes that now that again, it's the timing of this amazing new endgame Atlas idea. Who knows how long they've had this, but the state of the game they wanted it to be in for this release. Like, all fingers crossed, this is hopefully the last endgame change before PoE 2, right? They're hoping 2023. And this is the first time I've heard them officially say, we're not going to do an endgame revamp every year. We're probably just going to tweak it. And before, it was the complete opposite, if I remember correctly, which of course my memory sucks. Now in terms of my build, I'm doing my Bone Zombie Guide, which is a pure physical zombie build. Normally that's a Necromancer. I want to see what survivability is like with all the different Guardian perks. And so I've also decided to go with Summon Phantasms instead of Skeletons, which is, of course, Skeletons are in my normal build. So I'm going through, and there's been a few kind of odd circumstances where all of a sudden my entire team is wiped out, but I don't know if that's just like a league one-off or if that's something that's... So I'm still excited to play a lot more with the Guardian and see in some pretty harsh T16 content. I want to see how my zombie survivability is. But in this content, I have been losing my Spectres, and hopefully Spectres are in it. Yes, and it's frustrating because now they're level 19. The gem is level 19, and I think I'm missing 4 life nodes for minions on the tree. I have everything else. I'm only missing 4 life nodes, so that's 48% life. And now I'm not the Necromancer, I'm the Guardian, so there's no life in the Guardian for minions, but I have everything except 4 nodes on the tree, and my Spectres are dying. I have the Host Chief, the Stygian Chief, or whatever, the one that does frenzy charges,
Carnage,
and then my Undying Evangelist, which has lower life than the others, but it seems to stay alive. Maybe it's because of its protective bubble. So disappointed that they're not living. And if that's the case, and if I have that much investment and they're still not living, do I need minion life and that much investment? I would disagree if you and I were having a balancing talk. I would say minion life supplements a moderate investment, right? Minion life support supplements a moderate investment of minion life on the tree, or you shouldn't need it if you have absolutely everything on the tree. All that being said, and that's kind of irrelevant, that's just my opinion, with the new way that Desecrate works with Spectres. Now, I'm not used to my minions ever dying as a Necromancer, but with this, I have absolutely loved. I hate rezzing my Spectres at all, but I've loved that I can just go into my hideout and I have them there. Only once did it refuse to produce one of my Spectres, and I had to go back to Act 2 to get it. But every other time I have 3 Spectres that I'm constantly running, and I've been able to res them 99% of the time, and I've absolutely loved that.
Somebody mentioned at the start, so I started doing this because I heard it, that at the start of each play session, to desecrate in your hideout, to lock in your specters for that play session. So I've started doing that because I haven't lost any specters. I'm running Carnage, Host, and then the Arena Master, and I haven't had any die. But what's really annoying is when I swap my helmet out.
Oh, it's so annoying.
Losing your specters.
Yeah. Never put your
never
put your specters in your weapon or your shield. Never.
Right. The worst actually is for me putting like my left click skill, because it always swaps back to the sword, and then all of a sudden I can't move and my character's acting like an idiot.
Yeah.
But
no, that's good.
I don't know. I mean,
that's a good idea.
My specters, I have. What's that?
Oh, you just said desecrate before you leave. I'm
apparently
on cast and damage taken, so I won't. But that is a good idea.
I'm gonna move desecrate into my eventually when I get a weapon that does the like cast when you cast the socketed spells when you cast a spell or whatever.
You did it. Good for you.
Say
good
the
for
word.
You.
Little bit when you do the things, then do the other things. Anyway, I'm running meat shield and minion life on my specters.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So my specters are only they're just there to buff. They're not there for
I ran out of gem slots a few leagues ago, and I was missing out on some damage, and I really wanted that back. And so I removed minion life for my specters a couple leagues ago. And as a necro, that was totally fine. But then this league, they of course lowered. They didn't say which ones, as far as I remember, which specters lost some life. So I don't know if this is a back end change that's making them die, or if it's because I'm the guardian and not the necro. But either way. Couple more things. The benefit of the necro. Couple more things that I absolutely love about all these changes. The epilogue, it's short.
Yeah, it's no run over here, then run over there.
And you can use the epilogue as your hideout if you want. You can just run maps from there. You have your stash. True. You have a waypoint. You have Sally Sellerson. That's a good name. And like I just love it. But it was just like, hey, you passed the game. Great. Click on this after you explore this massive area on the beach. Click on Kirik. Do a map. Okay, get mapping. That's it.
Except, is Sin not in there? Because I couldn't find Sin in there, and I had to go back to Act 10 to talk to Sin.
Yeah, for your Pantheon.
Maybe he is, but for when I was trying to upgrade my Pantheon, I was like, what the frick? Where do I go? Also, get that guy in my hideout, please.
Yeah. Well, no, not like, Sin. Really? He's annoying. I think personifying Sin and innocence is weird. Give like the Sin thing to Lily. give her everything.
Oh, well, I don't really care. It's weird to me that I have to go to one of the acts to turn that in. But anyway.
I haven't had a Divine Vessel drop as usual. So if you have some kicking around, J-Dog, I could do a map or two with you.
I have only had 1 or 2 drop. I can't remember, but it's not a lot.
I wish
I literally, as soon as I got it, went straight for the one for You Can't Be Frozen.
Nice. That's awesome.
That was what. Yep.
What else? Nothing
you can just sell for it.
But good things to say. Nothing but good things to say for the new flask and gem tabs. Oh my goodness. It's not tedious for me to pick up quality gems or flasks. And I love selling them now because it makes the process easier. I'm picking the ones with the right percentages so that I know I'm picking up, oh yeah, all these ones are going to turn in 1 for 3. That's great. Absolutely love it. Oh, okay. Here's all my 20% ones. That's awesome. They're automatically organized. A 20% one automatically turns in for 1 GCP. Love it. Like it's just so easy. And man, GGG. I love it.
Have you had a divine orb drop yet?
A divine orb? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Divine orb.
Because you could just sell that divine orb with 5 random flasks, and that'll give you 5 divine vessels.
What? Oh, that's so cool. Okay, hang on. Yeah. Sell a divine orb.
So 1 divine orb with 5 any random flasks.
Any flask, like a small life flask?
Yeah. Small life flask, yep.
Why flasks?
I don't know, because you're creating a divine vessel. Because you create. Don't ask questions, Ty. That's just what it is.
I would have never in my life thought of that.
Yeah. So if you sell a divine orb and 5 any flasks of anything, doesn't matter if they're rare, whatever, you'll get 5 divine vessels.
Justin,
5.
That is amazing. And I will do that. But Justin,
tell me.
Closet confession time before we sign off. How did you discover that?
Okay, I don't want to say who because I don't want to be wrong, but somebody mentioned it. I want to say maybe Georgia mentioned it in Discord. And then I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know that was a message. And then that is awful, Tyler. You shouldn't be doing stuff like that. Okay? Just read Discord.
Do what?
Don't miss messages. That's rude.
Oh, good. I thought I did something like mic etiquette related, and you were going to like lecture
you're
me.
Chewing
after.
on a friggin' gun while we're trying to talk.
I'm not chewing. I'm picking my teeth with it, and it has an excellent little pointy thing at the end. This is Sergeant Slaughter's massive like bazooka ray gun.
Anyway,
look at this.
When I actually needed some divine vessels,
look at that scope.
I did that. So yeah, I figured I would share it with you. You realize that you showing something close to the camera is not working, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, good.
I'm just doing it the way you do it, and then eventually it actually focuses.
Do you see this?
This super blurry thing in front of the camera.
Anyway, that's what you get. That's how you get 5 divine vessels. And once you get your divine vessels, I definitely need to go do some too, because I need to unlock more of my.
Well, let's see which ones we need, because if we need to do the same ones, save it.
Okay. I don't know which ones you're doing, but we'll talk about that later. Maybe after dark.
Chit-chat.
There we go. All right. But yeah, anyway, I think this has been an awesome league. I'm having so much fun. Really excited to play some more this week. Hopefully everybody listening is having a blast as well. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 123, Forever Exiled, the Path of Exile podcast. I'm Justin, a.k.a. Tags.
Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Patrons will catch you all in After Dark. Everybody else will see you in episode 124. If you're looking for more information, you can find down below. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. We got a Discord, which is the greatest place in the world. Tyler does read most messages. And if you're looking for ways to support the podcast, you can find Patreon, etc. down below. Peace out.
I don't skip them on purpose. It's by accident. But also, if I would move my family to New Zealand if this job posting came up. Person that chooses the mod of the day when rolling maps. You know that person that's sitting there and making sure temporal change is always on a map for a whole day? That's a job I want. Are you going to add crickets at the end of this episode? I was expecting more from you.